hello. It is so nice to speak to you. Congratulations on a great episode of Miss Marvel.
Thank you.
Well, it's really cool. I want to start at the end of the episode, and then I want to talk about your journey with it. But it ends with Kamala being a part of the partition herself. She goes back in time, presumably. That's an integral part of her history, but it's an integral part of real world history for so many people. And we see it influencing the story and the characters in ways it influences people in the real world. I'd love to hear about the conversations about bringing that to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and making sure it's done accurately and honestly, and also fits the story that you're telling.
So, Brendan, I've spent the better part of 2 decades actually collecting oral histories from 1947. It is sort of a geeky sort of other part of my life that I am drawn to that history because it is a deeply traumatic time for millions and millions of people. One of the largest mass migrations the world has ever seen. Yet it's very rarely visualized. So when you bring a superhero into that world, you have to bear witness to that history in the most authentic manner. And so when Kamala lands into partition and she walks onto that platform, I recreated every frame from a photograph from 1947. And so the things that you see on the platform, but the way people are being carried, the way people are going, all of that is a recreation from a photograph from 1947.
That's unbelievable because I know you've done so much incredible award-winning work in nonfiction, and now, I mean, you're in a sense bringing nonfiction to the Marvel universe, which is fictional, but you're basing it in like a very important reality. So that's really cool to hear. In the context of Miss Marvel, I'd love to hear about the character's experience. What can you say about what this means for Kamala, what she's about to experience? Because not only on a superhero level is this going to drive the story forward, but on a character level, that's been what I've enjoyed most about this show, is how it's character first.
Kamala's on this adventure in my episodes, and sort of everything is new to her because she's landing in Pakistan for the first time. She's the sights, the sounds, the vibrancy, the streets. I turn the camera onto Kamala's face very often in episode 4 because I want audiences to feel what she is feeling. Like, she's perplexed. Who is this guy giving me directions, and how am I supposed to take a left, and go around a donkey cart? Exactly. Or when she's trying to haggle with the guys and she knows she's being ripped off, or when she tries this really spicy snack food that we have and she's sweating and she's like, these are all sort of real life experiences that immigrants who go back to their parents' homeland sort of feel like. And Karachi is her mother's home. Jersey is her home. So it was really important as her character development, as she begins to understand who she is and where her powers come from, that she goes back to her roots. And her grandmother, who is such she's a reflection of her grandmother. You see her bedroom, you see her grandmother's dusty room. Sort of the same quirkiness is there. When she lands in Pakistan and gets into that world, she begins to understand who she is. That is an important part of her character development.
I don't think there's anybody better for these 2 episodes. I'm so glad they picked you for these. Hearing you talk about it, it's really cool. And I see so many comments online. For people appreciating the cultural accuracy that the series is showing, especially in this episode. And I'm curious if you've had a favorite detail that you got to bring into it, or maybe both. I'd love to hear your answer to both. If you've seen anything online that you're like, wow, it's really cool to see people pick up on this and celebrate this and react to it the way they are.
First of all, when I was told that I was directing the Karachi episode, I was like, this is my moment to bring all my childhood dreams, into the MCU. So she goes into this Chinese restaurant, ABC, which is this, like, it is part of all our childhoods. It's like a landmark in Karachi. And then to put the Red Dagger lair behind it, I was like, yeah, this is like the stuff of dreams are made of. Everyone who left Pakistan, maybe 20 years ago is watching that. It's like, oh my God, ABC Chinese restaurant is back. It's such a landmark in the city. I also wanted to put Kamala on the streets. Like, I wanted her to walk because I want people to experience that sort of whether it's in the chase when she's running, or whether it's in whether she's out on the heritage walk. I wanted to put her down on the street because that's the best way to experience a new city. Mm-hmm. I also wanted to move out of sets. So if you notice, my episode is shot almost entirely outside. And I draw my experiences, obviously, from my work filming on location as a documentary filmmaker. But I think there's no better way to take someone on an adventure is to put them outside. And so I did that. And of course, my episodes are filled with Easter eggs. When she lands in Karachi and, she's the doors open and she walks out. I saw something the other day when someone was like, oh my God, there are all these students wearing Stanford hoodies, and Sharmeen went to Stanford. And so so there's all of these little things about myself that I've sort of put in different places.
That's awesome.
And people are catching on to it. I'm like, wow, they found that. That's cool.
That's awesome. I love that. That's cool. And so my last question for you, I'd also love to hear about the experience working in the Marvel universe, because there's things that seem to tie this, like the design of damage control in their facility to maybe She-Hulk in the future of the MCU. And this story is one that propels into the Marvels. When you join a fictional universe, you're also working inside the constraints and like the trajectory of the MCU. I'd love to hear about that experience. Did you find yourself collaborating with any other teams or hearing about other projects where you're like, oh, this is cool, to get to hear where they're going?
All the stories in the MCU are so intrinsically related and linked. When we were filming the DODC and we were filming sort of this wall that they had put up with all of the sort of people that they were going after, and they were all drawn from like different MCU properties, or when we were in the DODC and sort of having the agents, from Spider-Man, like sort of just the interconnectedness of that world, and even the murals that we have placed, sort of all across our episodes, they harken back to some other property of Marvel, and that is what is so special about MCU. It's viewers come back to watch so that they can piece together the connections of like things. I mean, episode 3, the 10 Rings. There is so much interconnectedness. It's a good thing that Kamala is an MCU nerd, because she very quickly in real life, would be like sort of providing the back commentary of everything that we were about to do. It was great.
I love it. Sharmeen, I could talk to you all day about this. Thank you so much for the time. You're incredible. Congrats on the great work again. I can't wait to see what you do with episode 5, and enjoy it.
Thank you.